Welcome back to our SketchUp for Schools tutorial series. We have left off where we completed our foundation, and in our outliner panel we have our plot, which is a group. Then we have our foundation, and then I have this section. And so one thing that I did want to start off with is that at the very end of my previous episode, this right here was at the wrong measurement. So make sure that this measurement should be 3.5 inches. This right here is 2 inches. The overall measurement from the very bottom of the gravel here to the very bottom of our footing is going to be 1 foot and 1/2 inch. We have 1 foot wide ring all the way around, and then the overall depth of our concrete foundation is 1.5 feet. So make sure that that is correct. I did have to go in here, take my push-pull tool and pull this part up and then this part up in order to get mine correct. As for some reason, I think when I pushed it down, it didn't really go down the way it's supposed to. So just starting off, make sure that that is all correct, that you measured everything in there. So to get this started, I'm going to go ahead and erase these measurements or dimensions, as whenever we bring everything out, you're just going to see little text popping out of the ground and it'll bother me. So we're going to do that. Go in here and let's turn off our section cuts from this display if you were working with those. I'm just going to leave the foundation off as we don't really need it. Okay, this is going to be the start. This is going to be the front, and then we have the back of the potting shed here. Okay, so this is what it currently looks like. This is our drawing 1 of our Harley blueprint series, and this is what we are actually going to be drawing. So this is what it will look like. This is the overall layout for the walls. So the overall width is 12 feet. The length is 13 feet. We have a small little closet, and then we have cabinets on both the right side and left side. This little one here means that we have a call out for that right side. So it means on one of the other drawings that's in this little six drawing pack is an image showing how that right side looks. That's something that we'll get into in a later episode whenever we go in and start working on creating the base cabinets and upper cabinets. You can kind of tell what they are, as the solid line is where the base cabinets are, the dashed line is where the upper cabinets are. So even though we don't know exactly what this looks like over here, we do know that there's base cabinets along the left hand side and that there's a little bitty upper cabinet over here in the corner. Measurement wise, it's kind of going to be up to us. We're just going to use our common sense, good educational architectural guesses, and what they look like compared to what we can actually go in and buy from Home Depot and Lowe's. We do have outlets, one on this side, one over here, as this is the little outlet symbol. We have a switch over here whenever you first walk in, and we have 2 lights at the very top of the ceiling. We have a window in the very back that's going to be centered along the wall. It's going to be 4 feet wide, 5 feet tall. Both the front door and the window will line up with the 6'8" mark. One of the only things we don't really know is kind of the closet measurements. We do know that it's 3 feet from the outside wall to the center of this wall. This little piece here while I'm not sure exactly how sound it is, the way it's drawn is that it's a 2x4 on its side. So I'm not sure exactly how sound that's going to be, but that's how it's drawn in the little blueprint. So that's way it is. So that's what we're going to start drawing today. We're going to lay out all of our walls. So if we go over here to our foundation, first thing, make sure that, again, your foundation is a group or component, as we're going to be drawing our walls on top of this, and we don't want the walls to be in the same group as the foundation. So to start off with, I'm going to take my rectangle tool. I'm going to draw in a rectangle, go into my offset tool, and I'm going to create a 4-inch offset. Our wall is going to be 4 inches. That's going to be a 3.5-inch piece of 2x4 and then a 1/2-inch sheet of drywall on the inside. Our window was halfway, so 6 feet. Take our tape measure. You can go from either end, as it's one solid piece. Come in here, find that center point. Okay, the inside shows 5'8". If we come in here from the outside, it'll show 6 feet. The window was 4 feet overall wide, so we're going to go 2 feet, so 2 apostrophe on one side. Try this again, 2 feet on the other side. I'm going to take my rectangle tool. We're going to draw a box, and I'm actually going to delete that line right there. I'm going to erase those 2 lines, so we still have our center point. The door was 2'8". So come in here. And I'm just using the keyboard shortcuts and the mouse shortcuts again. So middle scroll wheel is the orbit, middle scroll wheel, and the shift key in order to pan around. And then zoom in and out is the middle scroll wheel. Take tape measure. So 2'8", we can go 1 foot and then 4 inches for the 8. Go to the other side, so 1 foot, 4 inches. And if you're not sure if you did it correctly, just measure the overall width and we should have 2'8". Take our rectangle tool and we'll go in and close it off and erase our lines. And we don't need those guides anymore. For the closet, it was 3 feet from this outside edge to the center of the wall. So we're going to 3 feet. At this point, we need to draw the wall around this line. So on our overall wall width is 4.5 inches. So we're going to go 2.25 on one side, 2.25 on the other side. On the inside walls, we jumped from 4 inches to 4.5 to mimic both sides of the wall having drywall. So the overall width of the framing was 3.5 inches, 1/2 inch on one side for the drywall, 1/2 inch on the other side. And that's mainly because we are doing interior design for this potting shed. If we were drawing up dimensions to actually build it, we would probably stick with 3.5 inches. That way everything lines up with the construction. But because we are actually going to model the inside fully in order to mimic how it would possibly look for a client, we want to make sure that the drywall and everything fits the overall dimensions, so that way we don't have any kind of space whenever we do construct it, or something doesn't fit whenever we thought it did fit. So that's the main reason. The depth of our closet is 2 feet. We know that because base cabinets are 2 foot, and in our picture it lines up with the outside of the closet. This part right here, remember, it is a 2x4 stud on its side, so that's going to be 1.5 inches. We'll have drywall on the inside, so we're going to just go with 2 inches. This right here, we're gonna go 3.5. Same thing on this side, 3.5. And that's going to leave us an overall width for our door at 1 foot 10 3/4, which will wind up being 1 foot 10 inches roughly. Let's take our rectangle tool and let's kind of close off all of these measurements. So that's our wall. That's, if you mess up, hold down Control, hit Z, or you can go to undo over here somewhere. But I just use Control Z. Close those off, take your eraser tool, and let's erase these right here. We just want to make sure that we close or erase all of our lines, so that way when we do raise up our walls, all the walls as much as possible will raise up. We will have to raise up one side along with the other side, but this will work for us. So that's really everything as far as the walls. So we're going to go and erase those. Take our push-pull tool. Right click, reverse face, make sure everything's correct. There we go. And we're going to go up 8 feet. Same thing over here. I need to reverse the face. If it does show up that gray, remember, just right click, reverse face. SketchUp wise, it doesn't really matter. It matters only if we plan on taking this file over to like Unity and using it as models for a game, architectural visualizations, anything along those lines where we're taking it into 3ds Max, Unity, Unreal Game Engine, anything like that. Because if our model has the faces on the outside, or the inside faces are on the outside, then the textures won't show. It'll be invisible. So that's the only real reason that it actually matters. I want to take our selection tool, click on the floor, and we'll hit delete so that it's just our concrete floor. Next thing we'll do, take our tape measure. We're going to go from the very bottom there up 6'8". Take our line tool, draw a line going across, making sure that it is green, and push-pull tool all the way across and clean up the lines. The other side, we're going to do the exact same thing. So T for tape measure, go up 6'8". Hit L for line tool, go across. Again, make sure that's green, not black, so that way you know it's going to be straight across. P for push-pull tool, and pull this across, line up with that edge right there. Hit E for eraser, and clean up our lines. Our window was 4 feet wide, 5 feet tall, so we're going to take our T for tape measure, click the top edge, we're going to go down 5', hit enter, L for line tool, make a line going across, hit the P key for push pull, E for eraser, and let's clean up our lines. At this point, let's go ahead and triple click on our wall, right click. We're going to make this a group over here in our outliner panel, which is again right here. Right click on it, go down to rename. This is going to be our wall. In our next episode, we will modify this wall in order to add in part of the roof before we actually go in there and create the rest of the roof. So we will modify this right here just a little bit before we start getting into the roof part. But now we have our outliner panel, we have our wall. Everything's correct. Bring open our dimensions. Place in your dimensions for various points. So the door, you can bring in the overall measurement, overall width. Although it's hard to mess this up as it lines up with the foundation. But you're just bringing in the key points. Making sure that you actually click on the correct lines so that everything lines up. If something doesn't line up correctly, see what's wrong. It's super easy to mess up and to do something wrong. Really quick, we're going to edit this group, and very lastly, close off the closet before we forget. So again, 6'8". Make sure that you do edit the group. Line tool in order to create our line across, and pull this across and hit the letter E in order to bring up the eraser tool and erase all of our stray marks. Right click, close group, and there we go. So orbit around to where we can kind of see everything. Take your screenshot, make sure your outliner panel is open. Again, go into save as, make sure you save it as your initials _ PS1 for plan set 1 _ wall. That way we have our various saves in case we need to go back to it for whatever reason. SketchUp for Schools is not as big a deal since it does save directly into your Google Drive. But this will stop here. In our next episode, we will take a look at the roof, and I will bring in the next page of our Harley plan set drawings. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos in this playlist and on my channel.